Good morning, this is Sun Kim's weekly global briefing on 11th May, and today I've got the news that Mike Pence, the Vice President of the United States, he makes a quarantine for a couple of weeks. Although he showed the negative on the COVID-19 viruses, but his aid is positive. So that now you will see a really big chaos in the Trump administrations. So that well, this week and maybe in the next week, with the stock and the financial market will have a really big adjustment. The price will collapse maybe, and hopefully the oil major will make some kind of signals that make a turning point to rise to make a bullish market of that. Yeah. So first, we'd like to check the major indices and the commodities to check it out. First, we'd like to see the indices. Major three indices closed with the positive as they rises, but the problem is that the Nasdaq, it shows so many gaps that are jumping. So, although it recovered to up to the 9,100 lines, it just over that, and the problem, but it will make some kind of price adjustment for this week. And maybe Dow Jones and the S&P 500, they also will have the price adjustment too. And then what you have to focus on is the VIX indices, and it is now it's below 29. It's below 30, but the problem is that the COVID-19 it just attacked. It assaulted the White House and the chaos of the administration. Well, maybe it'll go maybe next week. So I think the VIX will rise again, and maybe maybe more than 35 or the 40, around 35 to 40, I think. And next is the commodities. The gold, silver, and platinum, they are forming the box patterns, and then although the gold rises, but you cannot be safe. It is not safe that because it's already selling on that. So I think the gold maybe go up a little bit higher, but I think it'll go down maybe. And the silver and platinum, it is a cheap, and now it's a cheap lines, but yeah, it is cheap lines. So I think you better to buy the silver and platinum for the July future. The palladium, I don't recommend the palladium because it's going modestly downward and going down very modestly. So you cannot buy it. You shall not buy it. Yeah. And the copper, it raises, but the problem is that it also it is not so stable. I think we have to check it again for a couple of weeks again because of the White House chaos. And next, the oil, the WTI and the Brent, they went up, they rises, and then they break the ceilings at the $25 WTI and the Brent, $30 ceiling of the Brent. But the problem is that it is not so hard to go much higher. And now the WTI fell down to $24 line again, and the Brent also collapsed under $30 line. So because the oil majors and the share companies, they are still fighting each other. So without some kind of a settlement for the M&A, then the price will not stabilized. And also the Dubai oil, it collapsed, and it is now lower than the WTI, and this because the Middle East guys, they pumps up too much oil again, the WTI goes up, and then the Dubai oil, they pour their oil to the market again. Yes, and maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and when the OPEC cut their oil cut, and then the shell companies, they pour the oil to the market. So now it is the counter. Now it is backward. But I think maybe the US and the OPEC and the Russia, they will make some kind of settlement, and they will monitor each other monitor one after another. I mean, one after another for their quota, whether they are cutting their oil cut, they're keeping their oil cut properly or not. And this time I brought the hawks, the lean hawks on the June future, and it really makes some kind of bullish. So it is a recovery of the technical factors, and the lean hog dropped up to maybe 31 cents per pound, but now it raised the former lines. It raises, and it raised up to the maybe former price line, and I think it'll go up more because now the pork companies and the meat processors, they are all in trouble, and also China has a lot of troubles for the pork. So all the protein hunt, now everybody will become the protein hunter for their survival. I think nowadays the cows, the livestock and also the feeder cow, they also rising higher. So it is good to check that too. Okay, now we'll check the 3 news for the weekly news. 2 from Bloomberg and 1 from Wall Street Journal. And CDC FDA chiefs enter quarantine after coronavirus exposure. So it's really shocked. And another news maybe shows that Dr. Fauci, he also made the self-quarantine for a couple of weeks. And today morning, in Korea, and for evening in the United States, the Mike Pence, vice president, he also made the self-quarantine for a couple of weeks, although he showed the negative on the COVID-19 viruses check. And also the other news is that the hidden fall set to soar as recession squeezes companies. This is about the European high-yield company bonds about it, and the ECB stopped to buy the high-yield companies in European bond market, and it makes a lot of problems. And maybe they make some kind of subprime bond collapse like 2008. Yeah. And also then the third one is that some Americans are being turned away trying to buy life insurance, and that because of COVID-19 so many people died in the United States, and that the insurance company paid a lot of life insurance to the recipient, and as a result they have no money now. So they changed their policy, and they make a lot of reinforcement, and so many insurers, they turn away, and then they don't pay the insurance anymore about the life insurance. So that it is a kind of another issue for the financial market maybe, and then it'll make another problem on the second quarter, I think. And this time I checked the 3 things on the market forecast. Number 1 is that the stock index will form a box pattern between 23K to 25K line in Dow Jones Index. But the problem is that because the Trump administration, they make a self-quarantine for a couple of weeks, and then there is maybe there'll be some kind of signal for a big price adjustment for the stock market and the financial market. So be careful and don't be chaotic. Although when they show some kind of a deep down diving of the price of the indices. Yeah. Okay. And then number 2, lean hog recovers former price and is adjusting now. And keep eyes on the U.S.-China trade deal progress for the big boost, because when the U.S. and China trade deal makes some kind of progress, and then it will include lots of a bunch of the pork exported to the China, and then the China will take the kind of the advantages for the protein war about this. I mean, really, this season it is a protein war. Yes. Everybody will look for the meat, and like Wendy's, where's the meat? Where's the beef? Where's the meat? And like that. And now, as I told you, that you better to check the live livestock cows, live cow and the feeder cow too. And number 3, all oils are recovering and breaks the ceiling of their price range. And WTI, however, will maintain $25 to $30 per barrel lines. And because the oil major, they always headache. Yeah, they headache about the shale companies, and then still the shale companies are collapsing now, but they still have some kind of resistance on the M&A about it. M&A, so the oil major and the share company, they shall make some kind of a deal for the M&A or the settlement about their oil cut, for the how much oil they will cut for the oil, the rig oil and the shales, or the ratios. So this is the issue for this week. Finally, today's weekly focus is 3 things. And then number 1, how much Fed will pour the money to stock and bond market. The problem is that Fed has issued a lot of money and the bonds to the market, and still the market is thirsty. Yeah, really, the market is really thirsty. They're like a vampire. They're very money thirsty guys. And yeah, and the government gave the 3 stimulus again already, and then they are applying for the 4th stimulus. And really, and then maybe the Fed will issue more than 10 trillion or maybe more than 12 trillion dollars in the market, and it will be make some kind of a lot of inflation. But the problem is that maybe it can make another deflation. It is really ironic, but it can happen. So the Fed and the Chairman Jerome Powell is really has a headache about this, whether they give some more bonds and money to the market or not. So this is the first issue of this week. And number 2 is that will all majors and share companies make the deal of M&A? Just for a couple of minutes ago, I just mentioned about it. So all major wants to make some kind of M&A with the share companies, and their share companies, they resist it. And especially the Occidental, they covered by backed up by the Berkshire Hathaway, and Berkshire Hathaway, they wanted to get their money back because of this chaotic and very unstable market. They wanted to get the cash pile on their vault. So this week we have to check whether oil majors and the share companies make some kind of settlement for the oil cut or about the M&A. This is another issue. And the third one is that the COVID-19. How long the COVID-19 shake the U.S. and global economy is this thing? Now the White House is shaken by the COVID-19, and almost everybody, they got the quarantine, and now President Trump still doesn't wear the mask at all. So I think maybe this week, maybe President Trump, if he wears a mask, then it'll be really funny, but it'll be a news. If not, then the chaos will go up maybe next week. So I think we have to focus. The final one is that whether the President Trump, he wears the mask or not this week. Yes, it'll be the one. Yes, be sure about it, and stay tuned about the daily briefings or the briefings of the Donald Trump. So this is the end of the briefings the 11th of May, and keep your principle and stay calm and don't be afraid about the market. It is just shaking, but it will show you a really great opportunity to earn the money. God bless you and thank you.